What's up, guys? I'm Pyatt. If you're new here, welcome back. If you're returning, I've been working on this project, and I'm not gonna state the name yet, but you might have seen it if you text me or you've been on Instagram. Today, we're going to be working on this song that I started a couple of days ago called "In Heaven." Let's get to it. So I started this song the other day, and it is called "In Heaven." It's about being in love, corny stuff. But let's take a listen to it real quick. In heaven. Waking up next to you is like waking up in heaven. Waking up next to you is like waking up in heaven. So as you can see, the music kind of just stops after 16 bars. I'm going to start with a bass that I modeled on the Poly D. Hardware is so important because it sounds so much fuller. There's more amplitude coming from the instrument as compared to software. Software is great, and I've actually been using a lot more software recently. But I also grew up with a lot of musician friends, and they were like, "Oh, you only know how to play a computer." So definitely utilize what you have access to, but just know that the hardware sounds so much better. Waking up in heaven. So the reason why I recorded a whole 16 bars worth of that bass synthesizer is because when you play something into your song live, it gives it more of a feel for the listener as though they're right there as you're making this song. And I know you're right here with me while I'm making this song, but when you hear it on your chosen DSP, you'll feel like you're there. So I recorded this bass in, and then I went back and I time warped the sample. Maybe it removes a little bit of the feel from that, but I was thinking when I made this beat, I think I just made it totally on grid. And it's easier to line up other instruments with it, like an 808. So I'm about to layer an 808 over this bass line. Remember to always save your projects constantly, or else you will lose so much important data. I'm gonna add a brassy synth from the same synthesizer, and I'm just gonna follow the chords. I wanna keep things a little sparse, but I need to add a brassy synth and chords, and then we'll come back into the chorus where I'm waking up next to you is like waking up in heaven. We'll go from there. Let's do that. Waking up in heaven. I got the keys down. I got the bass down for the second half of this part of the song. Now I'm going to lay down some harmonies over that lead vocal. Waking up next to you is like waking up in heaven. Waking up next to you is like waking up in heaven. Waking up next to you is like waking up in heaven. Okay, so I don't know if you can tell by the theme that I'm going with, but I kind of want to do this robotic machinery type of sound. So I think this next vocal layer that I'm going to do is going to have a harmonizer on it, the Antares harmonizer. And then the Antares harmonizer, it causes a lot of latency when you're recording after you add it into the project. So I'm going to record those vocals and then bounce that track in place. I know it's called Consolidate in FL Studio, but I come from Logic. So that's the language that we're going to use. Waking up next to you is like waking up in heaven. Waking up next to you is like waking up in heaven. Waking up next to you is like waking up in heaven. Waking up next to you is like waking up in heaven. Waking up next to you is like waking up in heaven.